We now continue with Smurf.
All funky colors. Shapes that swing.
It's impossible.
This is the Eclectic Discussion Podcast.
It's another episode where did all my treasure go? Ratchet bitches, ratchet hoes, fuck them good, then let them go.
This is the EDP.
What's up, everybody? EDP. I'm Eclectic. We're talking Three's Company. Three's Company, one of my favorite sitcoms ever. On the show, I've done a lot of sitcoms. We got a Different Stroke show, a Good Time show. I don't know, a whole bunch of shows. And we did a Martin show. This one, Three's Company, debuted in 1977 and went to 1984. It was based on a British sitcom. We've been stealing shit forever. Well, it didn't start with The Office. We've just been stealing. Chrissy, Janet, Jack, Snowwood Tripper. Janet, Chrissy, and Jack lived together in an apartment in Santa Monica. First, it was just Janet, Chrissy, and Eleanor. It was Eleanor. We didn't get much of Eleanor. She was moving out. They had a going away party for her, and then the next day they found Jack. He was passed out. And since they had the space and he needed a spot to live, because they were gonna have to pay rent, so they let him take her place. They needed the rent money, and he was staying at the Y. I think he was staying at the Y. So the whole thing was the Ropers, Stan and Helen, owned the apartment, and Stan didn't want any unmarried men living with women or whatever. He was very upstanding for 1977. So, I mean, can you imagine? Like, oh, you're not married, you can't live with women. It's crazy. But so Janet told Mr. Roper that Jack was gay. So then it was all right. It was fine then, which is wild because this is 70s. So gay wasn't acceptable as it is. But it was more acceptable than you being straight and unmarried living with women. It's a very wild premise, but so even though throughout the whole series, Mr. Roper teased Jack about being gay, I don't think he ever tried to hook him up with another guy. I don't think, which would have been a nice episode. If there was an episode where Mr. Roper tried to hook up Jack, please tell me which one it is. I will watch that. I will watch that today. Helen, Mr. Roper's wife, figured out he wasn't gay, but she didn't care. Jack had mad women. They had two other Chrissies before Suzanne Summers. Everyone knows Suzanne Summers and Chrissy. They had two other ones. That was a thing. Janet worked at a flower shop, and Chrissy was a secretary. Maybe they were still called typist. Maybe she was a typist. Then they kept adding people. Lana, they added her in 1979. There was an older woman. She was an older woman that wanted Jack, and she always tried to smash. Most of the time it was in front of Mr. Furley, who thinks Jack is gay. So we'll get to how the Furley, but I never got why he didn't want to smash Lana, because I wanted to smash Lana. I was like 5, but they met when Jack was working as an escort. He was working as an escort to make money. All right. So anyway, let's try to get some order in this. 3 things. Jack had women. Mr. Roper didn't want to have sex with his wife, and Chrissy was a ditz. Those were the themes. So the Ropers left in 1979. That's around the time when they added Lana. They got a spinoff. Stan bought a condo, and Helen tricked him into getting, and they went to some fancy place, and the whole premise was Helen tried to fit in with everybody, and Stan didn't care, blah, blah, blah. It got canceled. It was called The Ropers, I believe. But Mr. Furley came in 1979, and his brother Bart Furley bought the building, and Mr. Furley wanted Lana, and Lana would seduce Mr. Furley into helping out Janet, Jack, and Chrissy if they had late rent, or the one time he was going to evict them, so she would seduce him to get her way. But she left the show. Then the last episode she was in, it was like a newspaper story about a guy that was sleeping with one of his two female roommates. And she assumed it was Jack, and she poured beer over his head at the Regal Beagle, and that was it. The Regal Beagle, we'll get to the Regal Beagle was the neighborhood bar, which we'll get to in a second. Chrissy left. All right, so Furley came in 79. The Ropers left in 79. Chrissy left in 1980. She went on strike over money and got fired. And I'm like, fuck you, we don't need you. We had two before you. So in the show, she went to Fresno to help her mother. She was replaced by Cindy Snow, her cousin, Cindy Snow. And then in 81, Terry joined. She was a nurse. They kept trying to find a new Chrissy. Terry was a nurse, and the show didn't really rebound from not having a Chrissy. So Cindy was going to college, but she came back every now and then. So then Terry joined, and she was the new roommate. Jack was a chef, and he always had odd jobs to get cash though. He was a model. He was a model until he had to pose nude, and then he sold encyclopedias. He was an escort. He played a mannequin. In the 6th season, he subbed for a chef at Angelino's, and a mobster liked Jack so much, he made Jack the permanent chef. Like by the end of the show, though, everyone was gone except for Jack. Then he went to Three's a Crowd. There was a lot of drama on the show. Like everyone on the show stopped talking to each other. Jack was the only one to appear in every episode. Three's a Crowd was a show. Like Jack proposed to his girlfriend Vicky, and like him having one woman wasn't weird enough. But she didn't want to get married. And convinced him to moving into the apartment above his restaurant. And then her father bought the building. He didn't like Jack. Man. There was always I'm jumping all over the place. There was an episode where you could see one of Jack's balls from under his shorts. They wore like mad short shorts in the 70s. All right, let's get to it. First of all, Janet over Chrissy always. Real ones know. So they had Janet, Chrissy, Terry, and Cindy. So I'm going Janet, then Terry, then Chrissy, then Cindy. That's the order. Cindy was corny. She was only on for like 2 seasons. And so she was Chrissy's cousin. She got Chrissy's old job. She moved out to go UCLA. Terry was the nurse. Jack didn't like her originally because she gave him a shot in his butt. So he didn't like her. She was the smart blonde, unlike Chrissy and Cindy. Also, I think Mr. Roper over Mr. Furley, if I'm judging, if I'm ranking. Mr. Roper never wanted to have sex with Miss Roper, but he stayed horned up. He definitely checked out all the women around Jack and definitely checked out Chrissy. Also, the best thing about him was the breaking of the fourth wall after a joke, usually about his wife or Jack being gay. It just turned to the camera. Ralph Furley, I like Furley. He was no slouch. Ralph, very funny. He was the ladies' man, and he got the apartment from Bart. Bart made him the landlord. He also teased Jack about being gay, but Jack eventually came clean, and Furley knew the secret. So then, let's see, you had the Regal Beagle. That was the local hangout. The thing about the Regal Beagle, and maybe Howie can help me here, it seemed like it was downstairs from the apartment or right next door to the Ropers. It just seemed, when they would come in, it just seemed, maybe it's just because it was a set, I don't know. Jim was the bartender at the Regal Beagle. That's where Jack and Larry always hung out. So Jack and Larry, best friends. Larry lived upstairs. He sold cars. Super womanizer. A lot of times he told women his name was Jack. He always lied about his job. I can't even pronounce his last name. It was Daliapoulos. He shortened it to Dallas because he couldn't spell it. I can't pronounce it, but he couldn't spell it. So it was Larry Dallas. He kept trying to sleep with Cindy and Terry. And then one time he was trying to get him drunk, and Jack would stop him. And I think Furley stopped him once. He was a creep. He was really trying to. Yeah. Anyway, other things happen in episodes. There's an episode where Janet and Chris were out of town, and Jack threw the big party, and Mr. Roper came to shut it down, but started getting loose with the girls. And then Jack and Mr. Roper woke up in bed together.
How did you get me up here?
You had a lot to drink last night. You must have passed out.
I never pass out.
What are you doing in my bed?
I must have passed out.
The last thing I remember, I was doing the hustle with somebody.
This is awful.
What?
My being in bed with you and you being a
Tinkerbell?
People are liable to get the wrong idea.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And Jack told Mr. Roper he wasn't really gay, but Mr. Roper didn't believe him and said he'd evict him if it was true. Then when Chrissy got Jack to cook for her and her date pretended she was cooking, and he got mad that they were criticizing the food and blew it up. But then he became friends with the guy that she was dating who knew a famous chef. And then Mr. Roper figured out Jack wasn't gay, came upstairs to see Chrissy mad that Jack took her date. So then he was like, maybe he is gay. Then they had when Larry wanted to use Chrissy's projector to watch a porno with Jack and Mr. Roper. Listen, Larry bought the flick for $50 from somebody. Yada yada yada. Ended up being a Woody Woodpecker cartoon. And when Larry and Jack dated Twinkie and Bonnie, but they ended up being the same woman, and they went at it and found out she had 3 other men.
Okay, Chrissy, I'll get in the tub with you, then we can get it on.
Get next to me. I'll show you what to do.
This isn't exactly the first time I've ever done this.
Maybe so, but girls are better at this than boys.
Come on, Chrissy, a little less talk and a little more action, okay?
Okay, you do your part. I'll do mine.
When Jack used a CPR dummy as his wife, when his boss's daughter tried to seduce him, that was... it was really a good show. They had a made-for-TV movie. The intro, the kid that walks up to Janet in the opening when she's feeding the goat is really John Ritter's son in real life. That's Jack. The chick that makes Jack fall off his bike, the brunette. So they're riding the bike and it's a brunette that's walking by and Jack falls off the bike. It was Suzanne Summers in a wig. I guess, they couldn't afford an extra. I said that the Ropers left in 79 because they got a spinoff. They played them. They straight played them. The spinoff didn't last a season. So they put in like the contract or whatever the fuck, that if the spinoff didn't last a season, a whole full season, they could come back. So the Mr. Roper guy, he didn't want to do the spinoff. He wanted to stay on the show. But they were like, hey, listen, you're good. If it doesn't last a season, you come back. The show lasted a season and a half. And he tried to come back after he got canceled, and they said no. Like, the word on the street is they purposely didn't cancel it until after a season and a half, just so they could say no. It's fucked up. The producer, I think, wanted to get Chrissy to come back at the end of the show to be a love interest for Jack, and it never happened. That would have been interesting. But they had cool guest stars on the show: John Larroquette, Lonnie Anderson, Lucille Ball, Jeffrey Tambor. But anyway, I wanted to do a quick episode about Three's Company because I saw a recent episode and it was like, damn, I used to love the show. Let me do a podcast. So that's where we are. That's what it is. I might do a couple other shows. I got some other things in mind. But I appreciate you guys listening. In the meantime, and between time, appreciation.
With your wrinkled pussy, I can't be your lover.